Have a look at the currency, which weakened 0.4% to a 6-month low of 84.4050 on Wednesday, weighed down by importers and other corporate clients who are buying dollars to meet some of the end-month commitments. Now, looking at the NSE Security Index, it inched up 0.1% to 4,983.54 points, supported by East African breweries, and we also had Safaricom, which were some of the top movers. And crossing over to the all-share index, it edged up 2.21% to stand at 128.93 points. With us in studio is Kuria Kamau, a research analyst with Kestrel Capital. Many thanks for joining us. Now, the data that we saw coming in from the debt market, from the primary auction yesterday, we saw a lot of numbers heavy that were coming in. The central bank was selling 182 bill auction, and you had the 364-day auction with a total of 7 billion shillings, and they got 27 billion shillings, but only accepted a total of about 5 billion combined. Why are we seeing that much interest in the primary auction?
I guess what we're seeing in the primary market is generally what is happening in the economy. There's a lot of money that's chasing especially the T-bills. Interest rates are coming down, and I guess bank investors are trying to lock in those high interest rates before they come down. But generally, the fact that a central bank only accepted a small portion of this is an indication of the fact that they are looking for lower interest rates, and now are forcing banks to lend out to individuals and companies instead of the government itself.
In light of what you've just said, the fact that the central bank only took in about a combined of about 6 billion, irrespective of getting about 27 billion, does that mean also investors are bidding very aggressively when you look at the yields on the primary auction?
I guess it's investors are trying to lock in the high interest rates before they come down. We saw early this month that the central bank cut the base lending rate to 8.5, and now investors are trying to lock in the high interest rates before they continue to come down. Especially considering inflation is expected to keep on declining, stay below the 5% for the rest of the year. So generally that's what investors are doing, they're trying to lock in the high interest rates. But central bank is adamant that they want to keep interest rates low, so they're only accepting the lowest portion, the lowest bid that they receive, and that's what's keeping interest rates low.
And of course we also had the 20-year bond which was reopened, and the central bank was looking for 10 and also got 25 billion, which is also another very heavily subscribed auction, but only got 10 billion. Are we seeing a situation whereby the central bank is actually sending a very clear signal? Because we also have the government saying that they have a shortfall of about 100 billion Kenya shillings, but yet they're not accepting all these bids, free money, not free money per se, but they're getting money at a good rate, but they're not accepting the bids from the banks.
I guess it's more of a trade-off. They still accept lower bids, but they're hoping that by lowering the interest rates, the economy is going to grow up and they'll generate more income from their tax revenues. They have a shortfall of 100 billion, which they're hoping over the long term to cut using high tax payments.
And how does this bode for the Nairobi Securities Exchange?
Well, cheap money means we might have more companies investing, and when companies in the NSE invest more, returns are much higher, profits increase. So lower interest rates means very good things for the market in general.
We're edging closer to the 5,000 point. Yesterday we closed at 4,983.5 points. Do you see us getting there today, or is it going to take some time?
There's sentiment in the market is that the market is a bit expensive now. So you have as much as a lot of trading going on. We're not seeing share prices apart from East African breweries. The rest of the market is relatively stable. So generally, probably, and the interesting thing is East African breweries accounts for the largest portion. So if demand continues on East African breweries, then we should see the index continue to rise.
One of those stocks that you've mentioned, East African breweries, together with Safaricom and British American Investment, were the three top movers yesterday, accounting for 77% of the day's trade. What is happening in British American? Because it moved about 9.8 million shillings, which was almost thrice what was done by East African breweries and also Safaricom. What is happening in that stock?
I think for Britac, it doesn't generally trade this much, or rather Britam, it doesn't generally trade this much. So I'd say it's just a large individual investor or large institution that's just moving shares. So I don't think there's a lot of fundamentals that have changed in the company. But generally, Safaricom released results that are very good, expect results to keep on being good, and breweries the same. it's a bit expensive, but I guess investors still want to buy into the stock.
But we saw it come off the high of 426 shillings to close at about 423, although yesterday it was also up marginally about 3%. Are we also likely to see this movement fluctuating up, down, up, down?
There's a lot of demand on breweries. It's just supply that's not unlocking. So if we continue to see more supply come into the market, then yeah, we'll see breweries.
Well, where would we be getting this supply from?
That's a question everyone is wondering. Yeah, supply, unless one of the locals or foreigners decides to lighten their positions, take profits, then the share price will continue to rise.
Which are the stocks you're looking out for today?
Today, breweries, as I said earlier, there's a lot of demand. Same with Safaricom and the banks, KCB and Equity. I think those will dominate trading.
What's the one key thing that you're looking at breweries and for you making a buy recommendation on the stock?
For me to recommend a buy, I'd have to see how the loan will play out. They have a very big loan, around 19 billion shillings. If that comes down, the loan reduces, or even the interest payments on the loan reduce, then I'd say the risk is off, and that's the time it's a buy. But generally, fundamentals for the company are good. Tanzania, as I said, will continue, will be the growth market, and also spirits and premium beers will also be the key products for the company.
But besides East African breweries, any other stock pick that you have for the week?
For this week, I guess we're going into end year for March companies that have a March year end, they're about to report their earnings. That's Kenya Airways and Centum. So going forward, I think those will continue to trade and also rise slightly as what you call the results are expected.